Today, we're exploring some of the most dramatic and emotional moments from natural disasters. Welcome to Timeless Frames channel. Let's dive in and uncover these unforgettable images. John Schultz House Post, Johnstown Flood, 1889. This historical image captures the eerie remains of the John Schultz house after the catastrophic Johnstown flood. The once sturdy structure stands in ruins, a silent witness to one of America's deadliest floods. Landslide damage from the Good Friday earthquake, 1964. This photograph reveals the sheer destruction caused by a landslide triggered by the 1964 Good Friday earthquake. Entire sections of land collapsed, swallowing roads and structures in an instant. The immense displacement of Earth highlights the quake's devastating reach. Lone house standing after Galveston hurricane, 1900. This poignant image showcases the only house left standing along the devastated Galveston shoreline. Every surrounding structure was obliterated, yet this lone survivor remains as a haunting reminder of resilience. The storm's unmatched fury left the coastline unrecognizable. Farm machinery buried in Dust Bowl storms, 1936. This photograph captures a once thriving farm, now buried beneath mountains of dust. Machines meant to harvest the land lie trapped under relentless storms that choke the Great Plains. The scene epitomizes the harsh reality of the Dust Bowl era. San Francisco's downtown in ruins post-quake, 1906. This historical image showcases the skeletal remains of downtown San Francisco after the catastrophic 1906 earthquake. Entire buildings collapsed, and streets were left unrecognizable. Smoke and debris linger in the air, marking one of the deadliest quakes in U.S. history. Fourth Avenue's collapse after Alaska earthquake, 1964. An illustrative picture of Fourth Avenue in Anchorage, where the ground gave way beneath the city. Cars and storefronts were swallowed by the earth, splitting the landscape in terrifying fashion. The 9.2 magnitude quake left an unforgettable mark on the city's history. Galveston hurricane's widespread destruction, 1900. This poignant image captures the flattened remnants of Galveston, Texas, after the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history. Homes and businesses were erased, leaving only fragments of what once was. Survivors navigated through ruins, facing a city forever changed. Photographer's car, buried by Mount St. Helens ash, 1980. This haunting photograph shows the ash-covered Volvo of photographer Reed Blackburn, who tragically perished in the eruption. Thick volcanic dust encases the vehicle, freezing it in time. The eruption's force turned roads into wastelands of ash. What would you do if an unstoppable tornado shredded everything? Let's watch. Joplin tornado's unmatched devastation, 2011. This photograph captures the unimaginable destruction left in the wake of the Joplin tornado. Homes were shredded, leaving only foundations where neighborhoods once stood. The EF5 twister carved a scar through the city, marking one of the deadliest tornadoes in modern history. San Francisco's sky before and after, campfire smoke, 2018. This photograph comparison showcases the stark contrast of San Francisco's skyline before and after the campfire. What was once a clear cityscape became shrouded in thick, eerie smoke. The air turned hazardous, making it one of the worst pollution events in California history. Main Street engulfed by Johnstown flood's wreckage, 1889. This poignant image captures Main Street after the catastrophic Johnstown flood, buried in debris. Waterlogged buildings lean precariously, barely standing amid the wreckage. The flood's sudden surge turned the bustling town into a landscape of despair. Dust clouds engulfing Texas Panhandle, 1936. This historical image captures a towering dust cloud swallowing the Texas Panhandle. Darkness blankets the landscape, making day look like night. The choking storm epitomized the suffocating hardship of the Dust Bowl era. Dust storm approaching Stratford, Texas, 1935. An illustrative picture of an immense dust storm looming over Stratford, Texas. The monstrous wave of dirt stretches across the horizon, swallowing everything in its path. Residents braced for yet another relentless assault from nature. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe our channel. Mississippi flood of 1927, breaking St. Bernard levee, 1927. This historical image captures the levee break in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, unleashing a devastating surge of water. Entire communities were drowned beneath the relentless flood. The disaster displaced hundreds of thousands, forever altering the region. St. Louis tornado. Aftermath's widespread ruin. This photograph showcases the remnants of St. Louis after one of the deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history. Collapsed buildings and twisted steel lay scattered across the city. The storm's sheer power left behind a landscape of devastation and despair. Fire raging on Sacramento Street after quake, 1906. This poignant image captures flames consuming Sacramento Street after the 1906 earthquake. Buildings already weakened by tremors succumb to fire, worsening the disaster. Smoke thickens the air, sealing the city's fate in an inferno of destruction. Mississippi flood, engulfing Cape Girardeau, 1927. This historical image captures floodwaters engulfing Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Homes and farmlands vanish beneath a relentless tide, leaving only rooftops visible. The Mississippi's fury turned entire towns into vast, waterlogged wastelands. What happened when an earthquake reduced the Grand Palace Hotel to ruins? Let's watch. Remains of the Palace Hotel after quake, 1906. This photograph captures the shattered remains of the Palace Hotel after the earthquake's unrelenting force. Once a grand landmark, it now stands in skeletal ruins. The destruction speaks volumes of the quake's unforgiving power. Toppled statue at Stanford. After earthquake, 1906. An illustrative picture of a fallen statue outside Stanford University's zoology building. The earthquake's tremors violently toppled monuments, leaving wreckage across campus. The destruction reflected the widespread devastation across San Francisco. Mount St. Helens. Aftermath, a devastated landscape, 1984. This historical image showcases the lifeless wasteland left by Mount St. Helens eruption. Flattened trees stretch for miles, stripped bare by the explosion's force. The once thriving forest was reduced to an eerie, desolate expanse. Brooklyn children in snow. After the blizzard, 1888. This photograph captures Brooklyn children navigating waist-deep snow after the Great Blizzard. The storm's ferocity buried streets, turning them into frozen playgrounds. Despite the harsh conditions, resilience shines through their playful spirits. New York home, encased in blizzard's ice, 1888. This poignant image showcases a New York home nearly buried under thick snowdrifts. Icicles hang from every surface, trapping the house in winter's icy grip. The blizzard's intensity made survival an unimaginable challenge. Midwest submerged in the Great Flood, 1993. This historical image captures vast stretches of the Midwest swallowed by relentless floodwaters. Homes, businesses, and roads vanished under the deluge, leaving only rooftops visible. The disaster reshaped landscapes, marking one of the worst floods in U.S. history. Hurricane Katrina's floodwaters erased roads, 2005. This poignant image showcases the overwhelming power of Hurricane Katrina as entire roads disappear beneath floodwaters. Communities were left stranded, surrounded by an endless expanse of water. The devastation forced thousands to evacuate, leaving behind a city submerged in chaos. Hurricane Carol's unforgiving flooding, 1954. This photograph captures the aftermath of Hurricane Carol's wrath as floodwaters engulfed streets and homes. The storm's relentless winds and surging waves left communities struggling to rebuild. How did a wave of molasses turn Boston's streets into a deadly disaster? Let's watch. Boston's deadly molasses flood, 1919. This photograph captures the bizarre yet tragic scene of Boston's Great Molasses Flood. A massive storage tank burst, unleashing a tidal wave of sticky molasses through city streets. The thick flood swept away buildings and people, leaving an eerie mark on history. Sumatra town destroyed by deadly flooding, 2004. This poignant image showcases a town near Sumatra, consumed by floodwaters following the 2004 tsunami. Entire neighborhoods were swept away, leaving nothing but scattered remnants. Survivors navigated the wreckage, searching for signs of lost loved ones. The Great Mississippi Flood drowned cities, 1927. This historical image captures the unrelenting force of the Great Mississippi Flood, as entire towns were submerged. Rivers swelled beyond their banks, transforming landscapes into vast, watery wastelands. The flood reshaped communities, displacing thousands and altering the region forever. Rowing through flooded Paris streets, 1910. This photograph captures the surreal sight of Parisians rowing boats through their city after the 1910 flood. Historic buildings stood half submerged, their grand facades reflected in the murky water. The disaster transformed the city into an unexpected Venice. The Potomac River overflows, flooding D.C., 1936. This poignant image captures the raging Potomac River spilling into Washington, D.C. in 1936. Streets disappeared as floodwaters surged into the Capitol, leaving only rooftops visible. The city struggled to contain the disaster as waters swallowed landmarks and homes. Casino Pier wrecked by Hurricane Sandy, 2012. This historical image reveals the destruction of Casino Pier, torn apart by Hurricane Sandy's unrelenting waves. The once thriving boardwalk crumbled under the storm's force, disappearing into the ocean. What remained was a haunting reminder of nature's unstoppable power. Beach homes reduced to rubble by Hurricane Sandy, 2012. This illustrative picture showcases beachfront houses shattered by Hurricane Sandy's raging floodwaters. Once peaceful coastal retreats became piles of twisted wood and debris. The storm's brute force reshaped entire shorelines, leaving devastation in its path. New Orleans submerged in Katrina's aftermath, 2005. This poignant image captures the heart-wrenching scene of New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Streets turned into rivers, and entire neighborhoods disappeared under murky floodwaters. Survivors clung to rooftops, awaiting rescue in a city drowned by disaster. How did Hanoi's streets turn into rivers during one of Vietnam's worst floods? Let's watch. Historic floodwaters overwhelm Hanoi, 2008. This historical image captures Hanoi's streets vanishing beneath relentless floodwaters. Vehicles, markets, and homes stood submerged as residents struggled to navigate the devastation. The city's resilience was tested as they faced one of Vietnam's worst floods in modern history. Nepalese floodwaters devour hillsides, 2013. This photograph captures the destructive power of floods in Nepal as entire hillsides eroded into raging torrents. Roads and villages crumbled, swept away by nature's unrelenting force. The disaster left behind a shattered landscape, forever reshaping the region. Square Trousseau, engulfed by Paris flooding, 1910. This historical image showcases the iconic Square Trousseau, drowned beneath the rising waters of the Paris flood. Grand structures stood half submerged, their reflections dancing on the water's surface. The flood transformed the city into a watery maze of uncertainty. Cologne's streets become waterways. After flood, 1930, this poignant image captures the unusual sight of Cologne's residents rowing through flooded streets. The flood's impact was so vast that daily life adapted to water-filled avenues. What was once bustling roads became eerie, silent canals in the heart of the city. Historic flooding in Australia turns roads to rivers, 1893. This photograph captures the overwhelming force of floodwaters in Australia, turning roads into flowing rivers. Entire communities became islands, isolated by the relentless surge. The disaster tested resilience, forcing people to rebuild from the wreckage. South Dakota's streets choked with flooded cars, 1972. This illustrative picture showcases the chaos left behind by South Dakota's historic flood. Vehicles lay stacked and crushed, carried by surging waters through city streets. The scene of destruction painted a grim reminder of nature's unstoppable force. Thanks for watching, but wait, listen, are you forgetting something? Do you want to get more videos like this? Then hit the subscribe button to get more videos like this. Goodbye.